Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. We are going to be taking a look at a game here today between Soma and Sky. First off, Sky, we've had a lot of his games on the channel in the last couple months. He's been extremely active. So that's, I mean, I always like to see any pro player become more active. But just wanted to mention that he has been really playing a lot of ladder games. And so has Soma, who is still in military duty in Korea. I actually don't know which role he got. There's a lot of different jobs you can get in the military, some of which give you more time than others to play. And I gotta say, this is actually, this makes me really happy, because when Soma went to the military, people were really nervous about that. He was kind of like the thought and strategic leader of Zerg when he left for the military. He was making like the most guides. He was advancing the metagame the most. A very important player, and people were really nervous when he left. It's kind of like when Flash left the military. It's like, well, damn, man, he dictates the Terran meta. Like, what are we going to do? And, obviously people fill in the gaps there. But the fact that Soma is staying so active on ladder, it really makes a lot of sense. We probably won't see this type of activity on ladder from him after he's out of the military, because being one of the best Zergs in the world, to be playing more of the customs and pro league games and stuff like that, which of course you're not allowed to do while you're in the military. You are not allowed to make any money. So he's not streaming or anything like that, but he's keeping his skills up, which is really, really nice to see, because a lot of players just don't play much during the military and they fall off a bit, and it takes a long time to kind of get back to your top form. So I think Soma's going to be rip-roaring and ready to go as soon as he's done military. Don't actually have a date on that yet. I'll have to check on that at some point. But, yeah, just something I wanted to point out there. Now, ooh, this is actually some pretty good moving shot micro. He only got one hit there. He's just a little bit far out. And you can see he was actually... you can sometimes adjust the path of a worker. I honestly don't even know how to explain it, but I guess after you play a lot, because like I can tell when it's about to happen, or like if my SCV is being chased, I'm like, oh no, over here I need to actually make an extra click because it's going to go around this corner weird or something, and they can catch up. But good to see. You can see like how dialed in Sky is right here. Ooh, and we actually missed that. Looks like he ended up getting a probe there. With the drone getting very, very low on health. That has to be annoying. Yeah, taking a look at these builds, the gas is on the way for Soma. He did, because the probe was chasing him, make his first hatchery over here at the third, and now does make his hatchery at his natural expansion. Of course, the map is Dominator, as you might have already noticed. The remake of Gladiator. Still quite liking the map overall. There's certainly, like, aspects of it that can be silly, like if you see a PvP here, that's going to be a train wreck of a game because of that low ground main base. And, things like that can happen in various matchups where it's like, oh, they have the high ground here. That's, as we learned from Star Wars, that is a deadly thing to give up. But once you have that, I feel like, we do get really great games on Dominator overall. Now, Cybernetics Core coming up. That probe still being alive. He's still just kind of chasing around with a Ling here, making sure it can't come back. It's hard to actually catch the probe, but if you keep a group like this, the probe can't really get by. There's no real way to juke around three, like Ling's 3 wide here. It's very difficult, and you'll see, right? Oh, see? He turns around. So if you lose the probe, that's a big problem. Ooh! Very nicely done. Gets by the Lings. He's going to be able to make it into the main base, and this is going to rest his weary heart here to get the probe. And you can see Soma's like he was trying to get the probe to turn around there, but he wasn't quite quick enough. If he was like about one matrix in front of where he was in relation to the probe, he actually could have body blocked it right about there and gotten a lot of damage on the probe, maybe killed it. But yeah, the probe goes in, and as soon as it leaves, Hydralisk Den goes down. So this is a big mind game from Soma. The probe gets a full scout on what the tech is, and in fact, even we'll check up here to make sure no Hydralisk Den or anything. Now, we don't know if Soma is going to try to do anything all in. I don't think he actually is. I think he's going to do a macro-oriented Hydralisk strategy here and just say, screw the Corsairs. Now, he has range already on the way. Speed is almost done. Yeah, I feel like that's what it's going to be. Let's see if he stops on like 6 Hydras. Because if he goes like 6 range Hydras, the thing is that would be so slow in this particular instance. But you're expecting as speed... I mean, not speed, as Sky, sorry. You're expecting as Sky that there's going to be Mutalisks coming out. Oh, and he is making another set of Lings. So let's just see if he pops a ton of Lings here. Oh, there's some more. Yeah, it seems like we're definitely going to have some pressure. By the way, look at the mini-map and all the Lings moving around. He's looking to see if any Zealots are out there. Now, the Corsair flies down and actually sees Hydras on the way. And there are a lot of Lings. So this is going to be one of those ranged Hydra Zergling busts where you have 5 or 6 Hydras. It looks like it's going to be 6. I keep forgetting if it's supposed to be 5 or it's supposed to be 6. But yeah, he does make 6 here, so that's probably it. And what you do is you just target down cannons generally with the Hydras to break away for the Lings to get in and deal their damage. So we're going to see that just momentarily. And here we go. This game might end very, very quickly. Goes on top of this cannon. The cannon will be got. And that is a great probe drill there. Like, he really messed up those Hydras quite a bit. The cannons are starting to finish, and the probes are going to block literally just long enough here. Holy crap. That was so close to death. These 2 cannons basically... well, what really saved him was the probe drill that came out, and he had 3 probes still blocking as these 2 cannons finished. And obviously only 1 Hydra was attacking this cannon as it finished up. So that is absolutely huge here for Sky to be able to hold on to that. Soma spent a lot to do that attack. And look at this. Now the Corsair might end up getting some kills here. And that would be very, very painful. Well, I guess he'll only end up getting 1 since a Hydralist does come back. And, oh god, that +1 is so close. Look at this. He's trying to just get the Hydra. Oh, he's going to get it. Oh, no, he's not going to get it. Oh. I don't think the Hydra can quite kill this in time. And in fact, Sky comes right back out. Really, really important. Good play from him to save this +1 upgrade. That's going to be really powerful to be able to get that finished. Normally, when you do a bust like this, you'll at least get the Forge so they don't get +1. So I will look at this position and say, I think that Sky is in a good position in relation to Soma. Soma does not have a lot of hatcheries. He's adding a couple more right now, but this was basically like a 3-hatch Hydra, like kind of delayed. All in isn't the right word. I'm trying to get better about what we call all-ins. It was kind of like a cheesy play, I guess you could say. Not that that's a great adjective at this point either, but it's almost feels like a meme to be like, oh, a dedicated pressure, right? Like something like that. But yeah, the range Hydra Rush definitely doesn't put you into a great position in a situation like this. And look at this. He's actually counter-pressuring with 3 Zealots that have speed and +1. So Zerglings are going to have a little bit of a trouble, but I don't think he'll get too much done with this. There are some more Hydras on the way, and that is actually a very good flank that comes in, but you can see how strong the Zealots are here against those Zerglings. That, like, he wouldn't have been able to quite do that otherwise without that +1. And in fact, gonna end up getting a few units here as well. Almost got that Hydra. Very, very close to it. And the Corsair comes in, only a single Corsair. I gotta say, Sky is actually playing a very, very nice game. The fact that he stopped on, like, 1 Corsair, he's actually putting on fantastic pressure with tiny amounts of units. And that's something that can be very hard to kind of identify. You know, like, you really have to look at exactly what happened in a particular game to decide, you know what, these 3 damage Zealots this is a perfect time to move out with 3 damage Zealots right now, you know, 8 minutes into the game. Right? That even sounds when you say it out loud. You're like, well, that's pretty specific. Okay. Now, a couple cannons going up in the main base. Looks like he's actually anticipating mutas, which, by the way, are being made. Where are they? They're up here, I guess. Soma making 4 mutas right now, so, and in fact goes up to 6. You definitely want 5 at least, so you can one-shot probes. But the fact that Sky has also anticipated that while continuously pressuring with 3 damage Zealots is pretty amazing. He's got some High Templars coming out. He does have this 1 DT. I'm surprised the DT hasn't slipped out yet. I am actually pretty surprised about that. I think this must be a mistake. Maybe it got rallied there and he just kind of lost track of with all the micro he's been doing. Yeah, when Soma gets up here and there's like already 2 cannons, he's going to realize that maybe he's been out-strategized a little bit here. Does end up picking off that High Templar, so really not too bad to start. Oh, my bad. So Maelstrom is going to get researched right after Psystorm here. He did go for a Dark Archon, of course. And here is, you know what, actually, this was the DT that was standing in the wall, so not my bad. He did forget to send it out, but made 2 more DTs to get Maelstrom to deal with those Mutalisks, which is something we want to see more of. I think everyone wants to see more Maelstrom from Dark Archons, especially in situations like this, where it was like, okay, I stopped on one Corsair because it was actually, I scouted a Hydra Bust. That saves you a ton of gas, but you know later on it makes sense for them to switch into Mutas, so why not go Dark Archon to counter that? Really good play, and you can see he's hit it back here as well. Maelstrom does take 100 energy, so that'll be done actually right around the same time as Maelstrom. I like it very, very much. Now, 4th base coming up here for Soma. You can look at the mini-map once again in the bottom left here, and you can see just the ridiculous vision that Soma has. The spread of Overlords, you actually can't really get out of here without him seeing. There's the tiniest little areas where you might be able to sneak. But right now we do have the Mutas coming up and trying to get a full engagement here on these Dragoons. The Dragoon count is actually very, very low, so he does have to be careful about that. Has some High Templars and is going to bring those forward. Looks like Soma decides to turn around. I gotta say, this is an extremely high-level game, excuse me, right now, because... like, for instance, even those Hydra Muta could have beaten those Dragoons, but he knows a High Templar's coming out. Even though he doesn't see it, he knows this guy is going to be bringing one forward, and one Psystorm will change that battle instantly. But yeah, he comes out here, clears that Overlord for his 3rd base at a gas location, and he shows the Dark Archon. So that's going to be something that Soma has to be careful about. He's going to go ahead and dedicate the Mutas elsewhere. I very much like this move. Because he saw the Dark Archon over here, no one really goes 2 Dark Archons. It's so expensive. So he actually is trying to get some sort of value out of these Mutalisks because he won't find any against this army. If a Maelstrom goes out, all these Mutas are going to die. So really, really like what he's doing here. And in fact, flying in once again, he's looking for units to pop out perhaps. Maybe a High Templar pops out that he can end up sniping. That would be fantastic. By the way, Sky also here on 6 gateways instead of the 8 that we see so often. So you can really see him thinking for himself. You know, I'm definitely not a Sky fan, but he is playing an excellent, excellent game here. Now, the Mutas clear these cannons. They are going to get a few probes. They're buying a lot of time, which is the main thing that we have going on here. Killing some probes, buying time. He gets another base during all of this. Doesn't have drones here yet, but has 7 drones on the way, so that's very nice. A couple Lings do hit up over here. Not a big deal. It's whatever on those, but... yeah, this is actually like a ridiculously high-level game that we're looking at. Now, all of that being said, you do have to say that Soma has now taken the lead pretty substantially. He's up by 15 workers, and it's getting worse because his Mutas are actually finding so much value. You can see that even against the Dark Archon, which can absolutely dismantle Mutalisks, he's finding really great ways to utilize these. And now he's got huge groups of Hydras out on the map, kind of roaming about. His vision is unbelievable. It's crazy. But of course, the cost efficiency of this army is something that could help Sky to get back into this game. It is a possibility. Like, I'm looking at this game and thinking that Soma's going to be able to close this out as soon as Sky attacks. I think the most important thing here, if Sky wants to win this game, he has to roam with his army heavily. He can't do a dedicated attack anywhere. He kind of has to run around and, like, what do you call it? Like, I like to call it roaming. I remember In Control used to call it sharking around, where you're just kind of like going around the map and trying to pick units off. So, like, attack up here, see if you can get a partial engage, get a couple storms back up, that type of thing. And so he comes forward, and these Hydras are on high ground, so this is a great... okay, he does throw down a Maelstrom on... he uses the 2 Maelstroms, so he says, screw it, the Mutas are avoiding me, we're just going to use them. And he crushes. He absolutely crushes with those. The Mutas are counterattacking into his rally point, so that's a bit annoying. But this army is rolling through absolutely everything. That was actually a great choice to use those Maelstroms. Even though he's been saving them for the Mutas, like, Soma's been too on top of not letting that occur. And the Dark Archon did just get targeted down. So there's a possibility we see more Mutas, but I don't think we will this game. Some storms go down, kill a few of those drones. And he is going to be able to kill this base at least. Now, the Muta's coming up. Ooh! Okay, pretty good Storm. Wow, those 2 armor upgrades actually do make such a difference, don't they? That's crazy. I thought 100% this guy was going to die. Because I've been told so many times by Protoss players that the reason all the Protoss go +2 armor is so that the High Templars live through mutas better. That was actually kind of absurd. That kind of underlined it hugely. Now, this is scary because his army is so far behind enemy lines here, and you can notice that Soma is very purposefully burrowing his lurkers on this retreat path. He really wants to kill this army. I think Soma knows that he's got a little bit of an edge still, even though he lost this base. And if he can kill a big chunk of army, that's going to be huge for him. So he's moving this army back. You can see Sky trying to find a way up. He is bringing another flank over here. Oh my god, this is Storm Central. Come on. Yeah, he unburrows. He realizes that that would be absolutely painful. And Sky is going to be able to clean this. His army is so good against just random lurkers. But some Hydras come up to make this engagement a lot better. Good Storm goes down onto those Hydras. This is a killer game. Oh my god. Like, this is probably the best game I've ever seen Sky play. Now, Soma still feels to me like he's ahead. 53 probes is not that much. But the fact that Sky is reinforcing Dragoon High Templar so quickly, he's taking really, really good engages considering. Another good Storm goes off before that dies. Look at that. Just shreds so many Hydras here. A couple High Templars coming up with this Dragoon army. Now, again, I don't think that he can actually engage. I think it's still a roaming game. If we zoom way out, sorry, iPhone watchers. If you go back and forth in this general arc, you're going to zone out any attacks on your bases. And that's really important right now. And, of course, the way that he's going down this side threatens this base again. He already got it once. And just by getting that once, it's like you keep your opponent on 4 bases. 4 bases against 4 bases is Protoss favored. Like, right now, Soma has more workers, so we can still, you know, consider that. By the way, some very good lurker run-ins. I'm not exactly sure how these guys all snuck up there, but they are definitely doing a little bit of damage at least. Do get a few probes. That's nice. Although he's out of mining here. This is getting pretty low. 50 is still low for that, though. The 50 is still pretty low. If this base was mined out, it would be okay. This kind of reminds me... Well, hold on. Let's just see if he's not going to attack. Okay, this kind of reminds me a little bit. It's not exactly the same, but if you guys remember, if you're hardcore ArtosisCast watchers, and you remember the Soul Key Protoss versus Zerg game, I think it might have been on Retro, but he played this game where he was very low on probes and took lots of bases and like roamed a ton and got just army value consistently. Let me know in the comments if you actually remember the game I'm referring to, but it was like... It was an amazing game because Sulky's so good right now and played like Protoss like we never see. This is actually very reminiscent of that, what Sky is doing here. This is the closest to that I have seen, where he's not super high on probes. Now, part of that is just that Soma's been very good, you know, dealing damage to the workers. In the Sulky game, that was an active choice by Sulky. He didn't really get harassed. He just kept his worker count low, which is kind of a Zerg thing to do anyways. But the way Sky is playing this, even though he's low on the workers, like, it's just a constant roaming and constant good trades against his opponent's army, which is, again, very reminiscent of what we saw in that game. And look at this. Like, Soma is trying to get in. Sorry, I'll zoom in a little bit. Soma is trying to get in here and make something happen. But Sky is so good. I have to zoom out again. He's roaming back and forth. This is the exact arc that he's kind of looking at in this game. And he's just preventing Soma from actually getting anything done offensively. Now, that being said, Soma has gone up to Hive. He has the Defiler Mound. He's getting Plague right now. He's already got Consume. So, between... Well, Defilers in general just counter Dragoons very, very hard. Plague is obviously awesome against him, and Dark Swarm is going to shut down their damage. Ooh, he actually gets that Defiler for free. But that could become very problematic for Sky, even though Sky has put out just such a beautiful game so far. Now, down goes a couple Dark Storms. He simply has to pull back from this. This is turning into more of a Lurker Zergling composition, which we've talked about a ton of times on this channel, how this is actually what you want as Zerg, is Ling Lurker. It kind of counters everything Protoss has for the most part. And the Dark Storms, of course, forcing him to just continually back up. You can see how funny that is. One Zergling doesn't die to 100 Dragoons. Dark Storm. Now... This is a big clump of Lurkers. Can you get a storm off on that? Soma's so quick at unburrowing when he realizes, uh-oh, that's too clumped. But some good storms going down. And you look at that. He's actually almost baiting the storms in a way. Where he has all three, he burrows one, and the storm just insta comes out from Protoss and backs two of them up. Really well done. Soma at this point is on 6 base. Now, 6 base against 4 base is still playable for Protoss. But it's, well, this one's pretty dry, and this one's pretty dry, and this one's totally dry. So, you know, I would still give a little edge to Soma here for sure. But Sky is just playing such a nice game. He's got to be careful, though. You can't be losing chunks of your army. Like, you really have to do a very cost-efficient roaming play. And when you're this Dragoon heavy and you're against, like, a Ling Lurker Defiler composition, it's even more important to roam in a forward position. Because if they appear at one of your bases with Defiler, it's dying. Like, they will Dark Swarm and Plague everything, and you'll be screwed. But yeah, the fact that he's roaming up forward forces most engagements to be far enough away that he has backup room. It's really, really good play. It's kind of like what you see in Terran vs. Zerg, with Science Vessel Marines being way far forward to stop Defilers from getting to the base. But Soma comes up the other side, throws down some Dark Swarms here at the natural expansion. This is going to be very, very, very hard to break. Throws down yet another Dark Storm. Just a single Lurker. It's like, what are you going to do? Psystorm that twice? It's just not, it's not efficient anymore. And he's breaking through into the natural. Now, the natural doesn't have a ton of value, but this is where the rallies are. So it is an issue still. And you can see he's just having such a hard time dealing any damage here. Well, he does pick off that Defiler, which is important, but there is still one left. Looks like this base is going to end up falling. Sky going across the map for another counterattack. I think this game is just about over. And actually, I think there's a very good chance he kills this base, but the amount of pressure here, his rallies have to be reset. He doesn't have that many gateways. I just don't think he can refield an army that he needs to break out of here. And even though it seems likely that he can kill this base, this army will get whittled down in the meantime. And that means that we're just not going to get another large supply army from Sky in this game. Yeah, he actually ends up defending it. Very good rally in. This has to be it, right? I guess he can go down and kill this base. He does have double Robo Reaver, which is really handsome. Does have a little group of units up here. I like that he's making the Reavers and trying to hold on somehow. I mean, he has done good damage to Soma. He has kept Soma much smaller than what Soma was aiming for, but... yeah, as he loses his main base, it's like all of his tech structures and all of his gateways. There's not anything really remaining at that point. Some Lurkers running around. You can still clear a lot of this, actually. It's crazy how good the Reaver can be at this point in the game. Does kill off that base. And... yeah. Okay, so this is empty. That's just about empty. Plenty. Oh, dude, he has so much left. Look at this. 1-3 upgrades with Adrenal. What do we have on the range? 3-3 on ranged units. Pretty wild. Does finally get that Reaver as well. So the rest of his buildings are basically going to be falling. He does have the Speed Shuttle with double Reaver here. You would need to have the most kingly Reavers anyone has ever seen. He's definitely got the bank for it. You know, if this... really, Soma's winning move was the attack into the natural. Things were still looking fine. And then the attack into the natural came, and it cleared his production. Look at all the money he has. You know, he could have, like, a ton of High Templars. You could have 10 High Templars and, like, 20 Zealots. Or, well, I mean, that's not a good example, but, you know, he'd have a more balanced army than that. But he could just still have a really big army roaming about if this one attack with the Dark Swarms hadn't occurred. And so now we're in this position where he's literally losing everything. He's trying to make something happen with the Reavers that he's gotten. Yeah, imagine if he had been able to block this attack and get into these Reavers. That pretty much completes the army for Protoss. Like, adding in speed shuttles with Reavers with upgrades is like, that's the end game for Protoss most of the time in this matchup. So he's gonna GG. I gotta tell you guys, that was an excellent Protoss versus Zerg and Zerg versus Protoss. I think both of them played really, really well. Soma is a significantly higher level than Sky. Sky is a player that's like a borderline ASL level, whereas Soma is one of these guys where it's like, yeah, he hasn't technically won a championship, but he is championship caliber. He's been to the finals before. He's kind of, when he's in ASL, expects to go to the very deep, round of 8 minimum, probably further. So I think that was really well done by Sky. I think he made a lot of very, very good choices. I think the fact that he was roaming in this area consistently when he really needed to, he was trying to force engagements out towards the middle. I guess with the counter stab from the Defiler up this lane, this roam was very good for a long time. And then when you get Dark Swarms here, it's not that different from against Terran. Like, you have to stop this. Maybe he needed units over here. Maybe he needed to start roaming something more like... Well, the thing is, he still needs to roam here to block this space, right? So you can't really roam across because of the center area. I can't fault him for how he played, Soma had an edge and was able to push up here. Maybe if he had some more forward units, like moving around this area. But, I mean, that's a big ask. That's a big ask. But I think he played fantastically. Wow. This was a great game. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.